The date was April 26, 1986. The time, 1:23 a.m., Ukrainian local time. Two explosions ripped through the fourth reactor unit at the nuclear power plant of Chernobyl, just outside the town of Pripyat, Ukraine. The effects of Chernobyl may not be evident to this day, but there have been long-lasting impacts on the way nuclear power plants have been designed since the Chernobyl disaster. According to the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Chernobyl, in addition to the 3 Mile Island disaster, has changed regulations on the nuclear power plant industry, which supplies the majority of our power. As a former engineering student, I learned about the effects of Chernobyl and the disaster itself. I've always been fascinated with engineering marvels and world disasters. I would like to commemorate the lives lost and the environmental impact the Chernobyl accident had in the Soviet Union. Let's first look at the unfortunate loss of life that was a result of this incident. Christine Brennan writes in her book, The Chernobyl Nuclear Disaster, that before the town of Pripyat would come to life, Chernobyl had already claimed 3 lives. Their names were Valery Kodymchuk, Vladimir Shashnak, and Valery Perevalchenko. The valiant effort of first responders and plant personnel would contain the fires to reactor 4 alone and not cause a catastrophic chain of reactions, explosions in the remaining 3 reactors. One man's selflessness would spare the lives of many. Alexander Lelochenko repeatedly entered the highly contaminated turbine hall in order to attempt to replace volatile hydrogen with much more stable liquid nitrogen. Just before his death, doctors estimated that Lelochenko had absorbed enough radiation to kill several men. The town of Pripyat had not begun evacuation until 2 p.m. on April 27th, almost 37 hours after the initial explosions. 28 people had died within 4 months. Although the true number of lives lost cannot be quantified, Jim Green cites that there have been estimates from anywhere from 4,000 to 60,000 people dead. I even found sources online that suggest over 1 million people dead as a result of Chernobyl. The environmental impact of Chernobyl also affected the surrounding area. On April 26th, an invisible radioactive cloud covered the city. This cloud would contaminate vegetation, animals, people, and possessions. After the accident, approximately 116,000 people were dislocated and would have to be moved outside the containment zone, which was 19 miles wide. In the spring of 1987, researchers discovered that over 50,000 reindeer were contaminated with radioactive material. 1,500 acres of forest were uprooted because of the contamination. Mutilated animals were found. Animals were born without limbs, extra limbs. There was a chicken found with 4 legs. There's one rodent in the containment zone called a bank knoll. Dr. Robert Baker of Texas Tech refers to these rodents as screamers because when a Geiger counter is held up against them, Geiger counter measures radioactive material, it makes a screaming sound. In a single year, Chernobyl's most contaminated bank holes received a radiation dose that was equivalent to a person getting 65,000 chest x-rays in a single year. Chernobyl had a devastating effect on the delicate balance of life. It was on that fateful morning that the lives of the residents of Pripyat would change forever. Unfortunately, many lost their lives, and the surrounding area became so contaminated that residency in the containment zone was prohibited. In the book Chernobyl's Wild Kingdom, Rebecca Johnson writes that Chernobyl is teaching us an important lesson. There is remarkable resilience in life on Earth because of the existing animals that are still thriving in that area.